I apologize about that. Anyways, you need to save it as a .dds, which of course requires the plugin, which is required to open it. Save it in the terrain folder that is within your map folder. I'm actually going to make sure it doesn't paint, okay, I'm going to fill in the ocean real quick. Oh, wow. That's not good. There we go, ground's painted in. The ocean is filled in. So we're going to save as colormap.dds. Yes, I want to replace it. And this comes up. This will only come up when you are editing .dds files. Now you need to save it as a specific format. From this list, you need to pick DXT5 ARGB 8BPP interpolated alpha. Over here with MIP map generation, make sure you have selected no MIP maps. And over here, you have selected 2D texture. Then save it. We're done with colormap.dds. We then go back here and we open colormap_water.dds. Again, load using default sizes. Here, this light blue is land, dark blue is water. This paint, I believe, this paints different shades of water, such as on my current map, I have a small lake somewhere about right here. It's a light blue, like this is, whereas my ocean is a dark blue, like this. So that's of course what this does. I'm going to just do this, because I'm not sure, but I also think this is what's supposed to be used on land. There we go. Here is the completed colormap_water.dds. Save as .dds in the terrain folder inside your map folder inside your mod folder. Yes, I want to replace it. Again, the format, very specific, has to be DXT5 ARGB 8BPP interpolated alpha. Under MIP map generation, no MIP maps, and make sure it is selected as a 2D texture. Then save. There we go. Reopen our folder, go back to the map folder, and we have now edited all the necessary image files. Next, we need to open up several of these text files, which actually we need to reopen provinces.bmp. While we're not going to edit it anymore, we do need information from it. For each of your new provinces, whether they are land or water, you need their color code, which I have this up here in the top right. So next we're going to open up definition.csv. This is the one for the project I'm currently working on. I'm going to empty it. Make sure at the top you have this on line 1. Province, semicolon, red, semicolon, green, semicolon, blue, semicolon, X, semicolon, X. Province, on your next line of code, province should be replaced with its number. So, since we only have one since we're doing the first province, we type 1. Now, we need the red, green, blue value of its color on the on the provinces.bmp. So I've got 0, 52, 185 for this particular shade of blue. And do make sure this is exactly correct, because it will not work if it's not. Like, I put it in wrong. It's not 152, it's 185. You would think I'd be able to remember that over the whole 10 seconds, if that. Okay? Next, after you've put in the color code, red, green, blue values of the color, separated by semicolons, you can put a name. This will not show up anywhere. This has no bearing on what is written on the map. This is so that you can better coordinate between the various files this name is going to be used. So I'm going to call this Tutorial Land. And then lastly, another semicolon and an X. Nobody knows why that is needed, we just know it is. So there we go, we have one province for the entire map. We're going to save as .csv, but since I'm pretty sure, I'm just going to hit save. There we go, done with that. We don't need provinces.bm, we don't need that anymore. Now we've defined the province, we need to go to default map. Now, there are several things about this. Max provinces should always be the amount of both land and water provinces you have plus 1. That 1 is for an extra province that the game registers as existing, but the player can never see. That province must be there, or else it will crash on startup. So I could just put 2. I'm just going to leave it as this absurdly high number of 1036 from the vanilla game, simply because I don't want to screw around with it. Next, you see this next line called C starts. That tells the program at what line the C starts. I'm going to put 2, but I'm not sure what it'll do since we have no C provinces. If it crashes, that'll be the first area I check. I apologize, I've never created a map without C before, so I'm going to put it as 2, because the first province is our giant landmass. 2, it doesn't exist, so I don't know. We'll see. Next, we've edited everything in here. Now we come back out here to map tutorial. We need to create a new folder called history. In the history folder, we need to create another folder called provinces. Go into provinces and create, well, we're going to actually not create a new file, we're going to go back and use one from my other mod. You should use one from the vanilla game, as this will ensure that your lines are all correct. So again, that is history, provinces. You'll notice they are numbered. These correspond with the province numbers in definitions.csv. So this is where that name you put in comes in handy. So I'm going to open my first one, and we are going to change this to Tutorial Island. Notice these pound signs. Those are are commented out, meaning the engine does not see that first line where it says Tutorial Island. That is for my own referencing. Now we're going to come down here and change county title to Tutorial Island, and the settlements titles to Tutorial Islands 1 and 2. Oh wait, no, it wasn't island, it was just land. I apologize. Now, as you've probably noticed, there's this line called Max Settlements. max settlements. Let me zoom in a bit. Oh, bit too close. There we go. Okay, max settlements is the, of course, maximum amount of settlements. Castle, which I apologize, I think the E might be getting cut off. Castle is a castle barony, and city is a city barony. These are not the maximum ones that can be built, but these are the ones that will be there at the starting date. So, if you were to edit this in the vanilla game, let's say you go to Paris and add another barony called another barony of the right type and made it a temple, you would have another church at the starting date. Now, under miscellaneous information, you have the culture and the religion of the province. Mine are unique cultures created for the other project I'm working on. You can use, for this, I'm going to just change it to the vanilla one, and I'm going to make it Basque, because I like absolute cognatic, it's very helpful. So the Basque culture and the Catholic religion will be what this province tutorial land is. So save as, put it in the correct folder, which is your directory, your history folder, provinces 1. The name of this should relate to its position in definitions.csv. So province 1 is 1 dash, whatever name you want to give it. I'm going to call it tutorial land. Again, this is not seen by the game. You will never see this from here, but it's helpful for organizing it. There we go. Tutorial land now exists as a province and a county. So we are done with this tutorial land.txt. Next, we need to create another folder in history. Need to create the history. No, the titles. I apologize. Titles folder. I'm going to go back, get the one from my actual project. Nope, not map. History, titles. Now, as you can see, B Baltimore or B Borderlands. These are the baronies within a province. So I'm going to head down and grab the one for the corresponding province that last one was. I'm going to open it. As you can see, this is very, very simple. This simply states that on this date, which is year, month, day, I believe, or is it? I believe it's year, month, day. I'm not exactly sure. Give this province the holder, the title holder is this character. So I'm going to save this in the tutorial folder, this tutorials folder. Remember, history, titles. Now you have to be very specific with the file name. Remember, I changed the county title in the other file, the 1-tutorialland.txt, to C_tutorialland. Now, you may be wondering what that C is. Let me explain when we get to the next file. We're going to need to create a new folder in the directory. So now we're not going back into history. There will be a new folder next to map and history called common. In common, you need to create another folder called landed_titles. I'm going to go and grab the one from my other mod just to make sure I create the because there are two factions, two titles that must always exist. E rebels and E pirates. I don't know whether I don't know if E pirates is actually used within the game. I know rebels is, but pirates I'm not sure if they're actually ever used from this. So, now that we're here, I'll explain a bit more. E underscore is an empire level title. So, the Holy Roman Empire is E underscore Holy Roman Empire. A K underscore is a kingdom title. D underscore is a duchy title. C underscore is a county, and B underscore is a barony. So I'm going to go through and delete everything beyond my very first province. Now you have to make sure you close all of your brackets. The game doesn't like it when you don't. So make sure all the brackets are closed. So now you can, you're going to have to observe this because I'm not going to spend the time explaining every last bit of this, but you can put the title requirements. First you create the title, then you put two colors, which are the border colors, and when you go to independent realms or de jure kingdoms or de jure empires, de jure duchies, this will be those colors you see. Then you can type the requirements to create the title. So for the Empire of Tutorial, the requirement I'm going to have is that your religion must be Catholic, which means I must put allow and do more with the brackets. The reason I can't just put religion equal Catholic is that will set the I don't quite know how to explain it, so I'm not going to try, but basically that just sets the religion of the empire. Whereas allow, putting it in an allow, means you will not be allowed to create it unless you are of that religion. Now when you get down here to, now remember, inside an empire should be a kingdom. You could skip from kingdom, you could skip over kingdom and have a bunch of duchies within an empire, but it just makes for funner gameplay when you have kingdoms. Anyways, inside duchies should be counties. This county must line up to one of the entries in the History Provinces folder. If it doesn't, you have problems. So since we only have Tutorial Land as a province, I'm going to tell it that inside the county of Tutorial Land are two baronies, Tutorial Land and Tutorial Land 2. This means they are all within that. Those baronies are de jure within the county of Tutorial Land. That county is de jure within the duchy. That duchy is de jure within the kingdom. And that kingdom is de jure within the empire. So here is a very, very basic landed titles. Save as. Make sure you put it in the right folder. Don't overwrite the vanilla game, as that would be problematic. Remember, it is in common landed titles, and it should be named landed_titles.txt. Now, usually you would have to go through and put localization in a .csv in the localization folder. We're not going to do that simply because I don't want to spend the time to. And really, you can observe the basic localization for anything and see how it's done. Okay, so I believe that is it. Let me just check through. Oh, right. That character I referenced to doesn't exist. That would be problematic to say someone owns something if they don't exist. So I'm just going to go and grab the character out of my... Oh, golly. What did I do? Where did I put that person? Here we go. You must... You know what? I'm just going to say you should probably just and if you're at this point, learn a little more about custom character creation before you go on to actually create custom characters for custom titles. So for now, just use vanilla people and give one of them your title. I'm just going to take my file here and switch it to and copy it over to the tutorial folder. Basically here in history should be another folder. Characters, in there should be a single .txt file for each culture that exists, and then should be the members of that culture. Okie dokie. I've got to change their religions real quick, as they do not line up with the vanilla game, but instead my mod, which would be problematic if I tried to load it. There we go. If I remember correctly, that is everything needed to create a custom map. Let's try running it just to be sure. Over here in select mods to play, it should be over there if... one mistake I made. I forgot. I didn't create the .mod. So, open your editor, create a new file, name, I said earlier, needs to be the name of the mod. I'm not going to, well, I should. Okay, user directory should be a custom folder / temp files. Your path needs to be where it is. Needs to be the mod - name of the folder that you have put for your mod. So I believe I put, yes, map tutorial. You need 4 replace paths. What this does, and I'm going to tell you now, is this replaces the files within these folders. So I'm replacing all of the files in history / characters, history / provinces, history / titles. It is important you do this for 4 separate, the 3 I just named, and events. The reason I say this, events, is because you see these events here? If you do not replace these, then you will be, after 3 days in game, about 3 days or so, a bunch of scrolls will pop up that you can't exit out of because the titles triggering them don't exist, such as the papacy events. The Pope no longer exists on a custom map, and therefore the events don't know what to do, and while it doesn't crash, it does make it completely unplayable. So make sure you replace path events. You need to save as. Come down here to save as type. Scroll up to all types. Now in the mod directory, call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it map map tutorial.mod. It must be a .mod. It does not. You cannot make it anything else than a .mod or it will not work. So let's try running it now. Make sure you run your game of Crusader Kings as a as administrator, or else it won't be able to create the temporary files folder like that. Like that. If this occurs, even if you're running it in even if you're running it, you've probably done something like I did. As you can see, I put the wrong slashes. So I need to go through back to my MOD and fix that problem. Geez, I really I really look like I know what I'm doing. I've already tried starting it up twice and don't have it going. Okie dokie, it still does not want to do it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go and create it ourselves. So it is saying in Documents, Paradox Interactive, Crusader Kings II, there is no folder for Tutorial Land. Tutorial Land, I believe is what I called it. No, I called it Tutorial, sorry. So create a folder, whatever your mod's name is. Inside that folder, create another folder called temp_files. Let's see how this runs. It will usually take a little while when it's trying to load a new map. So we're going to tell it English and let it load through. If I've done all correctly, it should load up. If I haven't, it won't. Okay, it crashed at creating trees. Let me see. Why would it crash there? Let us see. That's not good. Especially for the tutorial. That's even worse, I gotta say. Okie dokie. Let me just examine my mod and see what I have here that I might not have in the other one. That could be causing that. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't forget to edit something, as that can always be problematic. And you might be thinking, it said it crashed at creating trees. Why didn't you just edit trees.bmp? Because that might not actually be the problem. That's the way the Clausewitz engine is a bit funny that way. I'm going to go back and recheck that, because remember, like I said earlier, I didn't create an actual water area. So I'm going to go to map, going to go to provinces.bmp, and we're going to create a water province. I'm just going to very simply make it a gray, cut out a chunk, fill it. Oh. Fill that chunk and save this. You don't have, while I do suggest going and editing all the other files to account for the fact you just add a huge freaking ocean to it, I'm not going to, as I just want to get this working real quick. We need to define a second province, our new water province, in definitions.csv. So of course, get your color code for it, 186, 186, 186. Water. The nice thing about oceans and seas and water is you don't have to go through and do titles and landed titles. All you have to do is put it in definitions, and now that we actually have a water province, it might load. So I'll check that real. I'm actually going to go in and edit the settings in the My Documents so that it's not full screen. This may be something you want to do because it allows for quicker testing of new maps. So you come in settings.txt, I'll make it smaller, I'll make it 800, 600 is its resolution, full screen, no, and I'll just make it a lot quicker for me to be able to test, since it doesn't have to go full screen every time. And if it fails this time, I'm going to pause the video, do some troubleshooting online, and see what I've obviously missed. Like, that's not a good sign right there. Okay, there we go. Map loaded this time. So like I said before, it was probably just because I didn't actually have a water province. Oh, crap. Okay, here we go. We have our huge province, and as you can see, because we didn't go and edit the localization, it's called Vestis Land. So here's this guy we've created. I've created count. Now, just because your map loads here doesn't mean that it's correct. Only when you get to this point where you are actually at gameplay have you done it correctly. Like, see, it doesn't even want to acknowledge this as water. It's the funny thing. Because I painted this on it and all the different files say this is land. Just because I changed it to a water province does not mean it is water. So you'd have to go back and edit that to be able to raise your fleet levels. Let me turn off that darn noise. One thing about mods, they will automatically reset all your settings. So if you've gone through and made the music turn off or something, when you create a mod, it'll turn all that back on for the mod. As you can see, there are no rivers on this map. It's just one big province with two baronies within it. The city of B Tutorial Land and the castle of B Tutorial Land 2. So, that is how you create a custom map. That is every step. Of course, this is not very pretty at all. I'm curious where my